Interested in learning about wine, but not sure where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast. I'm your host, Haley Bowman, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm a wine enthusiast turned wine educator and founder of the Seattle-based wine tasting business, Cork and Fizz. It is my goal to build your confidence in wine by making it approachable and lots of fun. You can expect to learn everything from how to describe your favorite wine to what to pair with dinner tonight, and so much more. Whether you're a casual wine sipper or a total cork dork like myself, this podcast is for you. So grab yourself a glass and let's dive in. Welcome back to the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine. So glad you're here. If you're new, welcome. So glad you're here to talk about wine. And for those that have been listening for a while, thank you so much. The support is so appreciated. It means the world to me. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about summer wine. And no, we're not just talking about Sauvignon Blanc or Rosé. There are so many wonderful wines. Honestly, the summer is one of my favorite times to enjoy wine because I feel like it's the time you go hang out in the backyard, you invite a friend over and you just grab a bottle of wine or something and just hang out in the backyard. It's all meant to be chill. Everyone wants to hang out and do things. And then you go on vacation and you get a chance to try new wines wherever you're at. And anyway, summer is a wonderful time to try new wine. And also, because of that, every summer I host a summer wine challenge. So if you're listening to this and it is summertime, whether it is summer 2025 or summer sometime down the road in the future, I sure hope I keep this going. But I've been doing it for 4 years now. And so the 2025 Summer Wine Challenge is happening right now. So if you're listening to this live when this launched, you can go join the Summer Wine Challenge. And all it is so simple. You just have to try new wines, new to you wines. That's it. It just has to be a bottle you've never had before. You try the wine, and then I have a little simple tasting form. It's a Google form. It's very simple, I promise. Lots of multiple choice questions. You fill it out, let me know what you think of the wine, and the goal is to help you find your new favorite wine. And then when you've tried 6 wines across 6 weeks, and you can finish it whenever you want. You can do more than 6 wines if you want. You win a prize. You will get a free ticket to one of my Cork Crew virtual tastings. And for every wine you try, you get entered to win amazing prizes from some of my favorite wine brands. And grand prize winner gets 1 year free of my Cork Crew virtual tasting club. So if I haven't convinced you already, if it is summertime, go sign up for my Summer Wine Challenge. I will put the link in the show notes for you. If it is not summertime, make sure you put a little note on your calendar to pay attention when it comes summer. We usually start towards the end of June. We run through end of June towards the beginning of August. Now, talking of the Summer Wine Challenge, every week I like to send out an email that includes fun new wines to try. And I thought, you know what? More than just sharing an email, why don't I share it in a podcast and introduce you to some fun, unique wines you may have never heard of? And so we will make sure some of these sound different than when I say them, right? Spelling, French, all that fun stuff. So we will put all of the wines that I mention in this podcast in the show notes. So then you can go ask your wine shop, or you can look them up on, let's say, wine.com or wherever you like to shop for wine. Because I would just love if you would give these wines a try. I've broken it up into, we have, of course, lots of white wines. Summer is a lot about white wines. You just need a chilled wine most of the time. Now, you can also enjoy some good reds, and I'm especially going to recommend some chillable red wines. We love those. And we have a few at the end that are just kind of other, don't fit in the specific white or red category. All right, so let's dive into these wines. Okay, like I mentioned, we're going to start with white wines. And the first one I'm going to recommend is honestly, you could drink this wine all summer and I think you'd be totally happy. I'm not saying you should, but it is just such a great summer wine. It is called Picpoul. It is super fun to say too. Picpoul, right? Isn't that fun? This grape variety is originally from southern France, and I don't know how, but it fell out of favor, but it is experiencing a resurgence right now. And I love that. The first time I ever tried this wine, actually, I really wasn't I still wasn't super into wine, but I was into trying new wines. I was living in Wallingford over in Seattle, and there was a little wine shop there that had a section that was I think $15 and under rack. And so whenever we would walk down the street, it was just a walk away from the apartment. My husband and I would walk down, and a lot of times we'd stop in the wine shop to grab a bottle for the evening. And I remembered this one specifically. I don't know what it was about it, but I remember this bottle because it had these cute little fish all across the label, and it was under $15. It was on this $15 rack. I think it was probably closer to $10, and it was a Picpoul de Pinet, which is the specific region in southern France that is known for making this Picpoul wine. And we tried it, and it was so good. Like I said, it's spritzy. You can expect this very light, zippy texture. It's got green apples, citrus blossom, lemon, and a little bit of that salty salinity that I love. I mean, I'm a sucker for an Albarino. They're known for that too, but this Picpoul has it as well. And so really, you can't go wrong with any wine labeled Picpoul de Pinet. And Pinet is Pinet. We don't say the T at the end, of course, French. And most of these are going to be $15 or under. I've also been seeing more wineries, especially in the US, producing Picpoul or wines that are blended with Picpoul. If you're in Washington or you're happy to purchase wine online, go check out Gramercy Cellars. They have a delicious bottle of Picpoul, and I believe they've done a sparkling version as well, which is super fun. Just a quick reminder, if you are not on my mailing list yet, what are you waiting for? I would love for you to join. When you do, you'll get a free shopping guide that has 15 of my favorite wines under $15. Head to corkandfizz.com, scroll down to the bottom, and there'll be a little section where you can join the mailing list. I send out a weekly newsletter filled with wine tips, recommendations, special offers, and so much more. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, so first wine you got to try, Picpoul. Now, we're staying in southern France for our next one, but it is a totally different style of white wine. And this is Roussanne. If you've listened to me talk about wine, I have probably talked about Roussanne before. I think this is such a beautiful wine. It is a great white wine for red wine lovers. It is often full-bodied and full of flavor. I consider it similar to a Chardonnay. Now, don't let that turn you off, right? I know as soon as I say Chardonnay, people are like, oh, I don't want to. No, just wait, okay? I love Chardonnay actually too. So Roussanne is cool because it can do this really bright, fresh version when it doesn't have any oak in it. Or you can go for one that has a lot more oomph and just fuller bodied, a little bit richer, a little bit rounder. And that's if it touches oak. And so it's this cool thing that it can do both. And so whether you prefer something brighter, go for the unoaked, or a little more oomph, a little bit rounder, go for that oak style. And honestly, I love them both. It just depends on the mood for which one I grab. In terms of flavors, and this can go in either the unoaked or oaked version, you can find flavors like lemon, apricot, beeswax, and chamomile. That's one of my favorites. I love that it has those just tea, herby, chamomile aromas. And if you go for an oaked version, they can have this note of brioche, which, how cool is that wine can taste and smell like brioche? Now, you'll find a lot of Roussanne in the south of France, again, remember, either from the Rhone Valley or from the Languedoc. You'll find it blended with other white grapes from that region very commonly. A lot of times you won't find it on its own, like a 100% Roussanne. You'll find it blended with a lot of other white grapes. So ask around at your local wine shop to see what they have, because it's also not always labeled Roussanne on the label. Sometimes they have a fun name, especially when they're from the south of France, from Languedoc or from the Rhone Valley. It might be called a Côte du Rhône Blanc. If you're in the Seattle area, a great place to find some delicious Roussanne would be the wine bar down in South Seattle called Princess and Bear. I also really love the Roussanne from Lotte Wines. Anytime I do an event, when I have free reign of the wine list and they want to do Washington wine, I throw on a Roussanne from Lotte Wines because I just think it is so special and so good. And every time I've introduced it to people, they're like, whoa, what is this? And then I get to tell them about Rus. Okay, next wine, we are moving out of France and into Spain. If you are a Sauvignon Blanc fan, you've got to try Godello. It has that same tart grapefruit flavor, but with this added salinity and a little more body to it. So again, we're getting it a little more medium bodied instead of something that is just super light and bright. That is a great style of wine, but I love ones that can have a little more, a little more oomph to them. The best Godello is from this region called Bierzo in Spain. And my absolute favorite bottle, if you can find this one, and I think I've seen it on wine.com, is by the producer Raul Perez. Raul, R-A-U-L, Perez, P-E-R-E-Z. So look up Raul Perez Godello. So good. It is insanely delicious. I think I can remember when I had this wine. My family was actually visiting me here in Seattle, and we took a little vacation to one of the neighboring islands, stayed in an Airbnb, and we opened this bottle of wine. And I think I thought when I opened it that it was a Chardonnay. Don't ask me why. It must have been like the shape of the bottle or something that made me think that. And then I was tasting, I was like, no, this isn't Chardonnay. What is this? This is so good. And then I realized it's this fun grape called Godello, and I have been on the search for bottles of Godello ever since. Everyone, I think, well, not everyone. At the time, my mom and my husband, I think, were the only other ones drinking wine at the time. But I'm pretty convinced now that my dad drinks wine that he would also like Godello as well. So there's your other wine. This is a Spanish wine. You might find it in other areas, but like I said, Bierzo in Spain is going to be your spot to find Godello. Oh, and quick note, when it looks like it's spelled, it looks like Godello. There's 2 L's, so you'll see that in the show notes. Okay, on to our next white, and this time we are going more for that light, spritzy, bright type of white, and this is Txakolina. And as I say it, it looks nothing like how you say it when it's spelled. It is Txakolina. It's also sometimes called Txakoli, and then that's just doesn't have the INA at the end. If you haven't tried this spritzy, so this is also from Spain. This is a spritzy Spanish white. You're going to want to find a bottle ASAP. It is like similar to the Picpoul. It is such a great summer wine. The main grapes are super unique. I also love them because I remember once with wine night, sorry, we're going on a slight tangent right now. With my wine club, when just the wine club of friends that we get together every month, we always try to have like fun themes. Sometimes they're like region related or like the grape variety. We all bring one of the same grape variety. I've always wanted to do one where it's like bring a wine made from a grape that starts with the same letter as your first name. And I thought that would be fun. But I remember being like, well, wait a second. What the heck am I going to do? Like, my name starts with an H. What grape variety starts with an H? Turns out there are some grape varieties that start with an H that aren't impossible to find. And they are the grape varieties that are in this Txakolina. See, the tangent came back. The grape varieties are called Handarabi Zuri and Handarabi Belza. Flavor-wise, in this wine, you can expect citrus, florals, and this Granny Smith apple sourness. It's so good. Perfect for summer. There are both white and rosé versions of Txakolina, again, also called Txakoli. My favorite are the Gaintza. I'm probably not saying that right at all. It's Gaintza. There's the Gaintza, and then there's the Rezabel. I've had Rezabel so many times. I love pairing the Txakolina rosé with like chicken or pork tacos. So good in the summertime. All right, we have 2 more white wines to talk about before we move on to our reds. The next one is called Viura, Viura. If you've never heard of this wine, yeah, me neither until recently. But if you've ever seen a Rioja Blanco, yes, we are still in Spain. Sorry, they just make such great white wines. Rioja Blanco is actually made with Viura. And fun fact, you've also maybe heard of this grape if you've ever heard of Macabeo. It is called, the same grape, Viura, is called Macabeo in Catalonia, where it's frequently used in cava, that sparkling wine from Spain that is made in the same style as champagne, but it is like way, way cheaper. It's usually like under $20. So for this Viura, also called Macabeo, you can expect flavors of honeydew, lime zest, tarragon, and hazelnut. It is such a fun, unique white wine. Like these notes, I feel like are not notes that you find on other white wines, right? Like I've probably repeated a lot of flavor notes with the earlier wines. These tarragon hazelnut, like how cool is that? The other cool thing, so similar to our Roussanne, is that Viura can be super bright, light-bodied, high acidity if it doesn't have any oak on it. Or you can create an oaked version that is fuller bodied. Well, maybe not fuller bodied, but medium bodied and doesn't have quite as intense of acidity. In order to find a Viura, you are going to be looking for a Rioja Blanco. It's going to say Rioja on it somewhere, and it's going to be a white wine, all right? It might not always say Blanco. Honestly, it might not say Rioja either. I know, it's so confusing. But this is where either doing a search on some of your favorite wine websites or going to your local wine shop and asking them to help you find it is probably your best bet. Two Viuras that I would recommend would be Cune Monopole Classico. So again, this is where that didn't say anywhere Rioja Blanco. I know it's hard. Or the Sierra de Tolono Rioja Blanco. This one says Rioja Blanco, yay! Okay, our last white wine, we are going over to Italy now, and I'm going to talk about Gavi. Now, in my opinion, summer is the perfect time to try all kinds of Italian white wines. I know this is the only one that's made the list for this list here, but there are so many other delicious Italian white wines as well. So once you've made it through all the white wines that we talked about here, send me a message and I will give you a list of some delicious Italian white wines. But let's talk about Gavi first. If you like Pinot Grigio, Gavi is a wine you've got to try. Gavi is actually the region in northern Italy that this wine comes from, and it is made from a grape called Cortese. This wine is crisp, refreshing, and bone dry. So if you like a wine that's got no sweetness, not a lot of fruit happening, give Gavi a try. I think this would be perfect paired with like some fresh bruschetta. I'm probably not saying that right. There's like the correct Italian way to say that. It's either bruschetta or bruschetta. Either who, pair your Gavi with that for a really delicious happy hour. My favorite Gavi is from Via Sparina. And bonus, it comes in this really fun bottle. If you've ever seen a Via Sparina, it almost looks more like an olive oil container than it does a wine bottle, but it is super fun. It's kind of fat, so it does not fit in the wine fridge very well. So that just means you have to drink it right away. Oh, bummer, darn. I'd also recommend the Maro Sebasti Gavi. Okay, now let's talk about red wines. I have 5 red wines that I think are wonderful for summer. There are obviously way more than this, but here are some that you should try. Hey, wine lover, interested in trying new wines, but not sure where to start? Or maybe you've been thinking, I'd love to taste wine live with Haley. I mean, who isn't thinking that? Well, say hello to the Cork Crew, my virtual tasting club where wine meets fun, learning, and the best happy hour you've ever had, all from the comfort of your couch. Every month, we explore a new wine theme together. You'll get expert tips, delicious food pairings, and stories that bring each bottle to life. You can order the feature wines from my partner shop, grab something similar locally, or just sip whatever you've already got. No pressure and no wine purchase required in this club. In 2025, I've made this club even better. You get to choose between 2 tasting dates each month, and everything is recorded so you can catch up anytime. We've also just launched our exclusive Cork Crew app, where you'll find all of your event info, wine recommendations, community connection, all in one place. It is accessible via your phone or your computer. As a member, you'll also get 6 free guest passes so you can invite friends, quarterly wine trivia nights, winemaker Q&As, a private online community, discounts on private tastings, and so much more. And when I say everyone is welcome, I mean everyone. Whether you're brand new to wine or a total cork dork like me, you'll fit right in. Loud or quiet, wine curious or wine obsessed, this space is for you. Join today and get your first 2 months for just $8 a month. I mean, heck, that's like a drink at Starbucks. Use code WINESPECIAL, no spaces, or you can save $80 on the yearly membership. When you sign up for the annual subscription, use code WINESPECIAL-year. Head to thecorkcrew.com That's thecourtcrew.com to sign up, and I'll see you at our next tasting. Cheers! Starting off with Blaufränkisch, and this is a grape variety that originated in Austria. First time I tried Blaufränkisch, again, so many of these wines, I have like very clear memories of the first time I tried them. We were in our backyard. We were having a little grill out. I think we'd probably like just gotten the grill and we're very excited to have friends over and like grill some burgers. We had burgers on the grill, and I remember the bottle had like an octopus on it. I wish I could tell you what the name of the bottle was. I just remember the octopus. But it was a Blaufränkisch, and it paired perfectly with the burgers on the grill. The wine is juicy, yet peppery. And if you have a slight chill on it, so say like put it in the fridge for like maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, you get this perfect summer, juicy, but not just fruity, right? We've got that peppery note in there as well. As I mentioned, this varietal is from Austria, so you'll find the best bottles from that country. I like the one from Evolucio. That is unfortunately not the octopus one. Again, I don't know where that one, what that one was or how to find it again. But you can also find great bottles of Blaufränkisch from Germany, Slovenia, and Croatia. Next up, one of my favorite red wines is Etna Rosso. If you like Pinot Noir, you've got to try Etna Rosso. This red wine is made from grapes grown on the slopes of Mount Etna. Yeah, they're grapes that are grown on the side of a volcano. Like, how cool is that? And it's a volcano on an island, the Italian island actually, of Sicily. This volcanic soil, it adds a floral and a flinty aroma to the strawberry and vanilla flavors of the wine. I have yet to try a bad Etna Rosso. This is why it was one of my favorite ones to recommend, because I'm like, just find a bottle labeled Etna Rosso. You will love it. It is great. So don't be afraid to try anything that is labeled as such. Some of my favorites, like I said, I've tried a lot of these. I like the Tenuta Terre Nere Etna Rosso. There's also Gialama Russo Etna Rosso. It's called Arina, Rina. And then there's the Benanti Etna Rosso. Okay, next up is a grape called Cinsault. And there's a good chance you've tried Cinsault without knowing it, but it was probably blended with a few other grapes. It is a super common blending grape. But on its own, Cinsault produces wines with aromas of really bright red fruit. So think like raspberry, tart cherry, cranberry. And then you've got this floral rose note along with the herbaceous and spice notes that will make you think of your favorite black tea. Some of the best bottles of pure Cinsault right now are coming out of South Africa and Chile. And of course, I gotta call out a local favorite of mine here in Washington. There is a new winery called Sama Cellars. I tried their Cinsault at Taste Washington this year, which is this big, huge get-together of all Washington wine, and you get to try it. It's amazing. If you're in the Seattle area, look out for Taste Washington. I think it happens, it's like March, April, or May. I can't remember. Sorry. But Sama Cellars, S-A-M-A, they had a Cinsault that had me try, and it was so good. I'd highly recommend if you're in the Seattle area, go check out Sama Cellars. They actually recently opened up a tasting room. I believe it's either Redmond or Renton. I'm so sorry for confusing those. But if you're in the area, go check it out. Okay, last two reds. This one maybe isn't as new. I feel like you've probably heard of it if you're listening to this podcast. And we've actually had, I think, a full episode on it. It is Cabernet Franc, but it just deserves more attention, you know? Like, I feel like it's, I was going to say sibling, but no, it's its offspring. Cabernet Sauvignon gets way more love, and Cabernet Franc deserves more attention. This is another chillable red wine. Oh, also that Cinsault that I just talked about, also really great, chilled a little bit. Like, definitely put a chill on it. But okay, coming back to Cabernet Franc, you can definitely put a little light chill on this. It has this perfect mix of fruity, strawberry flavor, and aromatic fresh herbs. There are so many great regions to find delicious Cabernet Franc, and they're made in a lot of different ways. So if we're looking for one, if you like one that has more fruit, look for one from a warmer region. So that's going to be like Washington, California, I think Italy, but make sure it's like more southern Italy. Spain would be another spot. There's probably way more, but look for a warmer region if you want more fruit. If you want a little more balance between the fruit and the herbs, you're going to look for a cooler region. So this would be Virginia, New York, areas of France. One of my favorite areas in France for Cabernet Franc is Chinon, which is located in the Loire Valley. These bottles are super special. I still don't think they're not popular enough that they are super expensive. So you can get a really great deal on a bottle of Chinon. It's Chinon. Know that it's made from Cabernet Franc, and it's going to be a little more herbal, a little bit more like green in flavor, but there's going to be some great red fruit to balance it out. And of course, I feel like I glossed over, but I do want to highlight some of the best Cabernet Franc right now is being made in Virginia and in New York. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, our last red that I want to talk about. So many of these red wines that I've mentioned are pretty low in tannin. I feel like that makes for a really nice summer wine where it doesn't have a lot of that structure and a lot of that drying feeling in your mouth. But you should still be able to drink wines with more tannin in the summer if that's what you want to go for. So a wine that is still lighter in bodied but has a lot more tannin going on is a Chilean grape called Pais, Pais. And this grape was actually originally called Listan Prieto in Spain, but it became so popular in Chile that they started calling it Pais, which is basically country in Spanish. So it's like saying this is just the country wine of Chile. It has this great rustic flavor to it. I'm trying to think of other words to describe it, but I think rustic is really good to describe this. It's lighter bodied, but it has really bold tannins. This one's definitely a little harder to find. So either look for something online or ask your local wine merchant. Even if you don't see it in their shop, they might be able to get you a bottle. I'm a big fan of the Pedro Para Vinista Pais. It's very good. It has nice balance. And this is one of those wines that because it has that bold tannin, pair it with your barbecue. Pair it with something that's a little more intense in flavor. It also, because it has that rustic note, would go really well with smoky foods too. Okay, now I said there was kind of a little bonus section. This is the other, I guess I could have called it the sparkling section because both of these wines are sparkling. So the first one, I said we weren't going to talk about rosé, but we got to talk about one style of this rosé, and that is a pet nat rosé. So pet nat might seem trendy, but it's actually the oldest way of making sparkling wine. It actually stands for, pet nat is a shorter version of saying pétillant naturel. And you're basically saying that natural bubbles, you're creating them naturally. And the way that most of these are made is that they will do fermentation partially and then put the wine in the bottle when it hasn't finished fermentation. So then it can just finish the fermentation in the bottle. You end up with a little bit of that carbon dioxide from the fermentation process, right? Remember, the yeast eats the sugar and it produces alcohol and carbon dioxide. And if it does that in a closed environment, you trap all the carbon dioxide and you create bubbles. So that is generally the pet nat. Many of them are not filtered. So that's also kind of the natural part of it. They don't disgorge it, so they don't take the leftover yeast and everything out. Totally safe to drink, totally fine. It just means that sometimes they're a little fuzzy. Not fuzzy, that sounds bad. That sounds moldy. No, not fuzzy. They're a little, what do I want to say? They're just not crystal clear. They're a little murky. Also doesn't sound good. Let's ignore all of that. Pet nats are wonderful. I really love them. They tend to make a more fresh, fruity style of wine, especially when it's a rosé, and they've got really small, delicate bubbles. I think these are great for taking to the beach. The nice thing is they always have a crown cap, or they almost always have a crown cap. That's the kind you'd find on a beer bottle. So all you need is a bottle cap opener, which I find we take to the beach more often than we do a corkscrew. So just look for a wine that has a pink sparkling wine that has a crown cap. I have a feeling you're going to love it on the beach. Just stick it in a bucket of ice and grab some plastic cups, and that is the perfect way to enjoy a pet nat. One of my favorites, though, that I'll recommend comes from the winery down in California called Final Girl. Okay, our last wine is not only sparkling, but it is a sparkling red, and it has a touch of sweetness. It is called a Bougie Cerdon. I think that's how you say it. It's how I want to say it. I want to say bougie. It's Bugey-Cerdon, Bougie Cerdon. This wine is made from Gamay and Poulsard grapes. If you remember our episode about Jura wine, that's where you find Poulsard for the most part, and then Gamay is primarily found in Beaujolais. But both of these grapes, Gamay and Poulsard, are found in the Bougie region of France. Again, I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how I want to say it. This sparkling wine, it's aromatic with the perfect touch of sweetness. Lots of red fruit, right? We're talking strawberry, cranberry, just really, really delicious. I think it's a great brunch wine because if you're having some of those like sweeter breakfast elements, waffles, pancakes, and lots of fresh fruit, you're going to want a wine with a touch of sweetness, and Bougie Cerdon is perfect. My top recommendation is Patrick Botek's Bougie Cerdon, but you can also find a few more. They are a little harder to find, so again, might recommend going online for that one. Wine.com is a great place to find those. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cork and Fizz Guide to Wine podcast, and I hope you give some of these wines a try. If you do, please let me know. Also, join the Summer Wine Challenge if it's summertime. Like, why not? You're going to try these wines. Why not win some prizes doing it? You can find more information about the Summer Wine Challenge in the show notes. And then, yeah, if you try any of the wine, just send me a message on Instagram. You can find me at Cork and Fizz, or send me an email, haley@corkandfizz.com. You know what I'm going to say next? If you love this episode and you haven't left a review yet or did a rating, please, 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 please do a review, leave a rating. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. In next week's episode, I will be talking to a mother-daughter winemaking team. Rachel Horn and Anais Mera from Aniche Cellars in the Columbia Gorge will be joining me to talk about lots of really fascinating things. We talk about why the Columbia Gorge is such a cool place to make wine. We also talk about a few political issues. I know, whoa, we're getting political on the podcast. Yeah, we've already done that. Let's be real. If you just listened to the podcast, my interview with Eric a couple weeks ago, you'll know that I do not stray away from interesting topics here on the pod. So you'll want to join me next week to hear from Rachel and Anais. Thanks again for listening. And if you want to learn more about wine, come follow me at Cork and Fizz on Instagram. And if you're interested in exploring new wines and joining an incredible community of wine lovers, be sure to sign up for my virtual tasting club, The Cork Crew. Head to thecorkcrew.com to learn more and use code WINESPECIAL to get your first 2 months for just $8 a month. Cheers!